she has severe congenital medical needs. So Kellen was diagnosed with autism in November of 2014. So he had recently turned 3, and we knew something was off since about 18 months old, and it took that much time just to get into a developmental psychologist and get the diagnosis in hand, which is what you need to, start your goal. And the first thing they told us was that your window of opportunity for kids like this is 2 to 6 years old. Early intervention is the most important thing that you can do. And so full steam ahead with speech therapy, occupational therapy, behavioral therapy, anything you can do it now. He was 3, we'd already lost a year. So we immediately signed up with, in Florida, it's, he out through early steps, so fiddlers and to get our IEP. And just right out the gate, the scheduling and what the public school system could offer him as far as time, the amount of time they could devote to therapy, as well as the environment of an ESE classroom, which just wasn't appropriate for him. He really needed to be in a classroom full of neurotypical peers, but public school just doesn't offer that for 3-year-olds. We quickly realized it just wasn't an appropriate fit, and there's nothing they could really do about that. I have an 18-year-old brother who has autism pretty severely, and he has gone through the entire public school system from 3 years old until now, and he will continue to go until he ages out at 22. And it has been the most awesome experience for him. The school trained all their teachers, they trained their staff, they did peer trainings, he has friends, he's invited to birthday parties, he's just had a really awesome public school experience, and unfortunately, for my son, it just wasn't an appropriate fit. Sorry. So, the year he was diagnosed, my daughter, a week after her first birthday, had 3 surgeries. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and my husband is in the National Guard and pursuing a PhD at the University of Florida. And it's actually in the Georgia National Guard, so making that trip every month and leaving me with these kids that I don't know what I'm doing half the time. So we figured out how to make it work, and we got him in 25 hours a week of ABA therapy, 15 hours in a center, 15 hours of ABA at home, 2 hours of occupational therapy a week, 2 hours of speech therapy for a week, and within 6 months, I went from a child that had never looked me in the eye. He had never had any original speech. He had never said anything that wasn't an exact replica of something I had said or something he had heard from Elmo. Within 6 months, I had eye contact. I had a child asking me questions, wanting to learn. A year later, Kellen just turned 4 this past November, and his personality has just blossomed. I feel like I know him for the first time. He's learning to read at 4 years old. It's crazy. I know his favorite color. He asked me the other day if boys could be doctors because he thought he would be a doctor when he grew up. It's just amazing, and we were looking at a kid when he was diagnosed. I was told about the ESE track because he was nonverbal and that, they could keep him this whole time, but, when he graduated, he wouldn't have a real diploma, and a year later, I have a 4-year-old that wants to go to med school, so, it's just amazing, and I never set out wanting to be a homeschooling mom, ever. I didn't actually set out wanting to be a mom. And I'm homeschooling him for the time being, and then we hope to transition him into a small private school in the next year or 2, because he just can't function in a public school class size, and we need a teacher that has enough time on our hands, because there will need to be constant communication with a speech therapist, an occupational therapist, and a behavior analyst. I need a teacher that can have weekly meetings with them, and obviously, grad school and the National Guard aren't bringing in the big bucks, so we figured out how to make it work for about 6 months, and then found out we were eligible for the PLSA, and it has completely changed our lives. It's changed Kellen's life. He's able to actually be an active participant in the world around him. He played on a soccer team. He communicates now. He has friends for the first time ever. I'd never seen my son sit down and play with a child until this past year. He was just in his own world, and the PLSA has really helped pop that bubble and bring him out. And you know, as much as I never wanted to be a homeschooling mom, I am the expert on my child. There is nobody that knows him better than me. There's nobody who has sat through all the psychologist appointments, 2 hours a week of speech, 2 hours of OT, ABA, the flashcards, the books, the record keeping. I mean, there is not a teacher on earth that could do what I can do for my son, and that can give him that one-on-one education and tailor make an education program specifically for him. And there's no replacement for that. It's absolutely priceless. And, you know, the fact that our state has made this a possibility for us is amazing. I know growing up with my brother having autism, families have been leveraging their entire quality of lives to educate their children, because if the public school system wasn't a good fit for you, or maybe a cheaper therapy wasn't working and you're not getting results, we're making it work. I mean, we made it work on a one-parent grad school income. We're making it work, but it comes at the sacrifice of parents having to quit a job, going down to one income, selling one of their vehicles, forfeiting things for their other children. Like, we're making this happen regardless, but I really say that, you know, this scholarship helps keep families together, because the stress and the weight of having to do that and everybody having to make sacrifices and cuts, it really has made our family dynamic a lot healthier as well. And I think that right there is the number one thing that you can do for any child, you know, special needs or not. It's really important. And so we've been able now to educate our son, see amazing progress, and not have to make really hard decisions. I shouldn't have to think about my child's education in the grocery store. So, thank you.